then database layer. Examples for this one is our desktop applications or standalone applications, or we can, those are applications we have it, right, like a clock or alarm or a calendar or calculator. So these all apps would be called as the desktop applications. So now we will be having any exes to install. So exes are nothing but, what do you mean by exes?
Extension.
What is exes?
Extension.
Exes is nothing but executables.
Executable code.
So now you can directly click on that exe so that it installs that particular software in your machine. So now you are going to install Office 360 or something, whatever the software which previously we used to install a lot of things. So that would be like an exe file. Once you got that exe, you'll double click it and then you'll be installing those things into your machine. So those all things would be falls under the part of this particular desktop and one-tier architecture. And coming to the two-tier architecture, so this would be called as a client-server architecture. Here we'll be having the presentation layer in one layer, and in another layer we'll be having the business layer and the database layer. So where it will be having this is called as a server, and this is called as a client. So now from the client, it will access this particular things. We will have multiple clients, and it can access the single server so that it can access the data and DB across the clients it can have. So this would be implemented as part of intranet, which is in the called as a LAN, local area network, local area network we have it, right? So that would be used as part of this one. So now going back to the three-tier architecture. So this is what are called as web applications. And here we will be having presentation layer, business logic layer, and then this database layer. So all three things would be distributed across different locations or different places or different servers. So now these are called web applications, and these particular web applications can be having across the globe, and it can be accessed. So this can be accessed via internet. So now almost all 95% of our applications, everything has been migrated to this particular web applications. Now, very rarely we will see this particular client server applications and then desktop applications, but still we some companies are still following the legacy approach of giving this particular exes, and then we need to work on that particular exes. That's the reason we should know about this particular desktop, and then this client server, and then this particular web applications. Now after this one, so we quickly started to talk about the distributed network. So what is distributed network? So usually we will be taking the example of Google. So in the Google, if you wanted to access for multiple users, so if we have a large number of users database, so how we are going to access for that particular user database is what we have been discussed as part of this particular distributed network system. So to elaborate on this particular pointer, let me take this example and then explain that to you, so that, and then anyways I'll come back to the same example of the Google. Okay, so for an example, now I wanted to go from Secunderabad railway station to probably Amirpet. So now this is what my source, and then this is what my source, and then this is what my destination. Okay, so now I have a straightforward route which I can go, but this is a peak time where they'll be having a huge amount of traffic. Now what I'll try to do is I'll go into an alternative way, and then I'll reach my destination. See, what is my motto? So even though if some kilometers are extra, I don't want to waste my time in the traffic. Same way, either I can reach in this direction, or I can come in this direction also, I can reach it. If it is night, then I can go directly and then go in this particular route. Means this is non-peak hours. So now this is not a peak hour, so that I can directly go and then reach to this particular place quickly. So now what you need to understand here is reaching the destination is most important for us, right? So now how we are going to reach, that really doesn't matter. So even if few kilometers are extra, but hassle-free navigation is what which I have wanted to have. So that is the reason when we usually used to have the google.com. So but what it happened is there is a lot of traffic coming to the same server. Handling these particular things, it become a very big challenge handle this particular application. See, now even google.com is a particular web application, right? Now even that is also web application where you have presentation layer, business logic layer, database layers distributed across it. But what it was happening is it was having multiple load. He have a huge load. Then what they have been done is they have been gone for the distributed network architecture. Now, what is this particular distributed network architecture is? So these all the servers. So this is what our database is, right? So this is means our clients are here. This is what our presentation is. So now presentation client 1, client 2, client 3, like some billions of clients we have, right? Now this particular business logic layer, what it will try to do with is it will route according to the geographical location. So now what is the geographical location? Co.India and Co.Malaysia, Co.US, Co.UK. So now these are the different servers or different networks. Now based upon this particular different geographical locations, so what they have been done is they have been diverted that particular thing with the help of this particular business logics, and then they will be hitting to the database server, same database server, or they will be having a replicated database servers also, so to retrieve this particular data. So this is how the network distributed means. This is also web applications itself, but even the web application, same application, it can be having a different networks to access that particular data. So this is called distributed network applications. Okay. uh, very rarely you will be getting to test this one, but this would be really challenging applications which we can do it. So we have been done with one of the very fantastic application, which is Decathlon. So we have been done for this one because the application functionality, everything is same. But I used to test it for Indonesia. I need to test it for Philippines. I need to test for India, and I need to test it for US. So now when I need to test this one, the languages will be changing. So they will be in Indonesia and then Philippines. They will not understand English. So they wanted to have it in the local language, local geographical languages. So now, yes, any question? So, so we need to test it according to the different geographical locations, different languages, but the functionalities and everything will be same. But we don't know Malay, right? Or we don't know that particular languages, right? So we will be having a Google translator to translate that and then verify that particular data and do the automation for this one. So this is how. So we will be doing this one, and definitely we'll be having the applications, but this would be in a larger volumes. If it is a bigger company, so definitely they will be having this particular network distributed things. So example, Amazon, Flipkart. So these all things will have different networks to be tested on this, because it depends upon the volume of the users, what they have it. If you have a bigger volume of the users, then this is what the architecture which we will be bringing it up, and then we will be testing on this particular structure. So this is how, so we have been talked about this particular distributed network application. So overall, these particular 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, and then distributed. But last, even yesterday, I talked about the another application also, which is mobile applications. So now, if you see this, because this is altogether, it's a bigger topic. So what are the different, what are the different type of applications we have it in the mobile apps, and how to test this particular mobile apps? So these are completely, that's a different geography. See, now for an example, now we have doctor specialists, right? We will be having cardiologist, radiologist, or radiation oncologist. So everything will have a separate wing. So hey doctor, right? So can I go for means if I have any problem, can I go for the cardiologist? Absolutely not. So I have some kidney problem, can I go for a cardiologist? No. So you have bone specialist or ENT specialist, or you wanted to have nephrologist, so you'll be having a different wings to go for it. Similarly, when you wanted to test a particular application, so the procedures and approaches and the tools, everything will differ. So that is the reason. So we should know when, if it is a mobile application, there are different things to be tested. If it is a desktop application, there are different things to be tested. And it is a web application, there are different things to test it. And if it is a distributed network, there are different ways to test it. So definitely we should know what is an architecture of this one. But to give you a high level architecture, so how this particular mobile app would be is, yesterday I told you that, hey, it may fall in the one tier architecture, or sometimes it will be fall in the web applications. So web apps also. So how it would be means, example, in your mobile phone, so you have all these particular apps, right? Calendar app, alarm, calculator, and some specific apps which it can work everything in your mobile itself. There is no need to internet. These all things would be worked into your system in your mobile itself, right? There is no required for the internet for it. But now when you wanted to use this particular categories app, Swiggy, Ola, or any particular commercial apps which you wanted to use on it, so this particular app need to connect to the live internet. So now they will be having a, means this is a presentation layer. Backend, they will be having certain mechanism called APIs, and then the databases and everything would be stored into their respective databases. So now presentation layer would be in your mobile phone, and business logic layer would be in their servers, and then even the data also they'll be storing in their servers. Means for an example, your past history, what are the orders you have been made, everything you can see it, right? In the Instamart, what the orders you have placed it, what is the orders you have been placed from the restaurants. So those all data would be stored here. When I click on that particular thing, this particular business logic layer will pull that particular data and then it give it to you. Now as soon as you selected your location, whatever the nearest point of restaurants would be there, it will be coming back to you. So now here you can see it, right? With the help of internet only this will work. If you don't have the internet, this will not work. So presentation layer would be in your mobile phone, business logic and then database layers would be into their particular servers. So to connect to this one, we will be having the logic of internet. So that's the reason. So the mobile apps can be falls as part of web applications, and then even it can be part uh, the desktop or standalone applications also. So this is how these particular things can be worked on. And some applications are there that would work offline and online. Offline means this desktop, plus online means, for an example, now you're going for a walking apps. You have it, right? So that walking app would be, means it counts that particular data. From your watch, it can be integrated with a Bluetooth enabled. It will be calculated the particular steps and everything. But if you wanted to push that particular data to synchronize the data for your internet, then it required the internet to push that particular data for the previous comparison. For today data would be there, means synchronization will happen. So even those type of applications also we will be having it. But that would be case to case, it differs from the business to business. But majoritarily you'll be finding in terms of mobile apps, so one tier architecture, which is a desktop application or standalone application, or you'll be finding out the three tier architecture, which is web applications. Okay, so this is how the application architectures are there, and you should know about these particular applications. So based upon the each application, so your strategy of testing or your planning of the testing will differ from one type of application to another type of applications. So that's it from this particular topic for today in terms of different type of applications. Any questions, any pointers on this? Any questions on this particular different type of applications? Did you understand about
No.
the?
No.
Sir, what is technology they have been used in web applications, sir?
See, that when you wanted to talk about the tech stack is nothing but technology stack. Stack means it's like a pile up of the things. Now, as I told you, right, we will have front end and we'll have back end. Okay, and we have DB. We will be having DBs can be multiple different type of. There will be a lot of vendors would be there. For an example, now you wanted to buy a particular watch. There are a lot of websites you will be having it: Amazon, Flipkart, Tata Click, or Snapdeal. You have a lot of sites, the retailer sites, to buy this one. Same way, if you wanted to implement with the DB, there are multiple DBs out there. So some we have MySQL, Oracle, Cassandra, MongoDB. So now these are different type of DBs, Elasticsearch. So these all DBs are there. So what DB they will be using? According to their need, according to the requirement. The same way from the front end, if they wanted to implement, they have Vue.js, React.js, HTML5, CSS3, and they have Angular applications. So now these all are different technologies. They can adopt which technology they wanted to have it, or they have the WordPress. So different technologies are there. They can choose and use according to their requirement. Same the backend implementations. Now it can be having with the different architecture. So when they have used the architecture, they will be calling it as monolith architecture, API architecture, or SOA architecture, or EDD architecture. These are different architectures to carry the data from the backend to the front end. Now the backend development, so the server side. So now this would be called as a server side, and then this is called a client side, or this is called a front end, or this is called a backend. So now some the server side implementations, they might be do with Java, they might be do with the C#, they might be do with PHP, they might be do with the Ruby. There are different languages which they can do on this. So now what you need to understand about this one is the technology stack depends upon the different companies and different application. So now this is what the first question you means, this is one of the important question which you need to ask the client when you are going to test that particular application. So what are the questions you are going to ask? Hey, what type of application is this? A one-tier architecture, two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture, or this one? Or if you are going with a mobile, then it can be implemented with the either with the Android Studios, or with the XUI, or with the Flutter, or with the Kotlin. Lot of things we have it, right? Now you'll be first asking, hey, what type of application is this? Hey, is it a web application, mobile application, or what? So now we'll be understanding what type of application and what is the technology stack they have been used. Then they'll be saying that, hey, from the front end we have been used the React.js, and then the back end we have been implemented with the PHP, and the DB we have been used with the Oracle, and the mobile app which we have been implemented with the Kotlin. So now these are the tools first you need to understand, because once you understand this one, then only you can select your tools for doing the automation. Example, you check the compatibility, right? For an example, now you wanted to buy a Bluetooth headphones. Okay, so now you wanted to buy Bose. So Bose is one of the Bose. So now one of the popular brand, or you can take Sony. So it is easy for to know, right? So Sony headphones, which is a noise cancellation, complete every means you can completely, you'll not hear the external voices, only you can hear all this. Now you bought a phone, or you can even think about Apple iPods. So that now this particular Apple iPods, so this is an excellent, so now generation 3 it came, right? So probably, so that generation 3 which we wanted to buy, so it is current coming around even they have been changed the models also. Now they have the latest for 45,000 rupees headset. It is an excellent clarity of voice, noise cancellations, and everything is there. Now for your phone, before you buying this particular headset, first thing you will be checking that, hey, whether this particular headset is compatible with my phone or not, because my phone is not Apple, my phone is Android. So now this particular headset is really excellent. So but can it will be compatible with this particular phone or not? Or else buying this particular tool, then buying this headphone, if it is not able to connect to my phone, then that is absolutely waste, right? So that is what the analysis which we need to do it. So we need to understand what type of application, and then what are the tech stacks we need to know about it. And there are different technologies, and it depends upon the company to company to get that particular technology implementation, and then it will be implemented over there. And purely the people will ask certain clients, if they're really technically strong, then they'll say that, hey, do this one with the WordPress or with the Rust development. So they will give that particular specific information to go ahead and then do the implementation for it. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? No questions?
No, Krish.
No,
So
sir.
then we will be going for the environments. So now these are the different type of environments. This would be specific to the IT industry. Okay, so I'm specifically talking from the IT. So now when it comes to this particular IT industry, what are the default environments you will be having this one? So now we will be having um a development environment, QA environment, and staging environment, and production environment. So these are the common environments which you would be having on this one. So now, as I told you, this is dev, this is QA, this is staging or pre-prod, and this is what production. See now, here how these particular environments can vary. It all depends upon the company to company, and whether all the companies will maintain this one. This is the idealistic thing which they need to maintain, but many of the companies will not maintain because this involves cost, skill, knowledge, resource. Because here it differs into variations. The production environment, how it is varying in this particular cost means it need to have, in terms of server configurations, it would be very high, the production servers, because for an example, if an application has been deployed means it's not one simple server. In simple server it will be hosted and then it will be accessed on this. I told you, right? Hosted. What you meant by hosted or deployed. So you need to know that particular, these words are really important for you to understand. For an example, there is a Swiggy. Now for once I develop this particular application, if I keep in my laptop, can be accessed by everyone? No, it can't be accessed. So what I need to do,
No.
I need to
No.
move this particular code to the production environment. So now the production environment is nothing but it is like a server with a high configurations in terms of RAM, CPU, memory, everything would be with a high, because now when I move this particular code to this particular production, so from here the complete world can be accessed. So this is what called as production or live. So now the entire world can be accessed from this particular production site. So now moving this particular code, this is called deployment. Okay, so usually we will be hearing it, right? Hey, that police officer was deployed now in Kurnool district, or this particular collector has been deployed in Tirunelveli. So now we will be having this particular, that same terminology. So in the software also we will be using with this one. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so this is called deployment. Now, where the code hosted in the production environment. Hosted means what? For an example, I got a guest. Some of you people wanted to visit me, so you came here. So then I'm trying to visit here. Visit here. So now when you came, so then I asked you, means I just wanted to host you. I just call you for a cup of coffee. So you people came. So then I hosted you. So means you are in my place. So that I have been given you the comfort, and then I have been given you all what the things you're looking for. The same way, now in this particular environment, all my code was hosted. So that is the difference between a deployment and then hosting. Okay, so now production environment is nothing but everyone can access this particular prod or production or live environment. So this can be called with a different names. Okay, so now where these particular things are hosted. So now here we have two things. One, it can be hosted in on-prem, P-R-E-M. Don't call it as prem, so it is prem. Okay, and on cloud. So prem means it is premise. So they Now always they will call bro instead of brother. So that's a shortened form, right? So here also premise. So instead of calling that particular premise, they'll be calling as on-prem. So it means in the company itself, they will be having different servers. Okay, in different servers, they have hosted this one, and via internet, the people will be accessing it. On cloud. So now everything moved into the cloud, means this is like a own house. Okay, so I have my own house. I stay here and I do my car parking here, like a own house. On premises means my office, I hosted all server, you can access this. But in cloud, it is like a rented house. So now we are taking certain servers on the cloud. Means cloud means it is completely a virtualization. So now we do have different vendors for this one, like AWS, Amazon, and then Azure. So there are a lot of vendors are there. So they provide the server in the online. So now in this particular online, we host our code or everything will be doing it. So now as we using for this particular servers, we need to pay them for the money. So this would be like a per minute they will be charging for us. So now monthly would be charging for us, right? So per minute they will be charging for this one. Hey, what it would be if they are charging per minute? You know, what would be the infrastructure cost for that? For an example, if for a small, if you think that it is Swiggy size an application, it might to have at least 18 to 20 servers in the production with a high configuration servers. 18 to 20, I'm saying that is a very minimum number. And infrastructure cost, at least it will go for 80 lakhs to 1 crore per month. I'm saying this is a minimal, very minimal configuration. Some companies just for cloud infrastructures, they will spend some crores and crores of rupee per month. So instead of cost and everything, the people would be deploying into this one. And they need to maintain that particular servers also. Security, they need to have lot of security, because I have my own house, but I opened the doors always. The robbers will also come and then rob your house. The same way, the hackers also come at any point of time. So you have to have high security. So that's the reason when you wanted to maintain this one, you should have an good resources who are skillful and then knowledgeable. So this is how you should able to maintain on the prem. Or in the cloud, what it will do is these people will take care of this particular security. So that is what the advantage. That's the reason I don't want to take the risk bus. So I'll just go and deploy this. What you need to compromise on the cost. You get the quality, security, and no need to take the headache of the resources, whether they have the skills, because they need to maintain all these particular servers and everything. If 365 days, 24/7, it should up and running. If current off, power supply off, natural calamities came, these all things, you have the advantages in the cloud. That's where everyone moved to the cloud, whether it is stuck or anything. But you give me. So now this is what the AWS Azure, they're promising it 24/7. You'll be having up and running servers and security, high level of security. So that's how the people migrated to the cloud. So now your environment might be in on-prem and or the on cloud. And as usual, yesterday we discussed about servers, right? Server means, what is server? What is server?
Where the data will be stored.
That is
The physical
database.
machine.
Yeah.
Physical machine.
Which
It
database?
takes the
Configuration.
request and give the response.
Response.
Providing response
No,
according to
see now,
request.
server,
It takes the
it
request.
takes the request and serves with the
And
And
response.
get the input.
So now, these servers would be app servers. App server means? App server means?
Application servers.
Storing the data. Sto-
What is the
storing
DB
the
server?
data in
See,
That server
always,
MongoDB.
the applications.
Bus, you need to understand before, don't give the random answers. Okay, think before you answer. 1 second you think. See, If I'm storing the data, then that is called DB server. If what do you mean by app server? I'm storing my application code, hosted my code. So that is called application server. That is called app server. Name itself, it was clearly saying it, right? DB server, app server. DB server, I store the data. App server, I store the app. That's it. That's simple, right? Why you wanted to complicate it? MongoDB is one of the, this is not Mango, MongoDB. MongoDB is one of the tool or technology to implement the database, like MySQL, Oracle. So these are one type of technologies and tools to implement the databases. Means this is the way different ways to store your data. So this is called database servers. Means database server means can be implemented in anything, MongoDB or Oracle or MySQL or Cassandra, whatever the things you wanted to implement your server with it. So this is called DB server. This is called app server, where you store the application servers. So that's how these particular servers are in cloud or on-prem. Now you got it. So how this would be stored in cloud or prem. Now, why we need to have these many servers? So now we understand the production server, all the production data, it can be hosted in cloud or it can be had in the prem. All my code is deployed into this one so that it can be accessed by everyone. Okay, I understand the production server. Why I need to have development server? Why I should need to have
What
this
is
one?
the code that is written by the developers? You serve with the
So
developer
now I'll be having
server.
multiple developers. So everyone who is developing that particular code, okay, so they need to develop that particular code, right? Where they will store their code. Okay, that would be a different logical question. So where they can store is, we can say that VCS, version control system. You don't go for this one. But this environment, I told you, right? Dev.swiggy and QA.swiggy, staging.swiggy, and swiggy.com. So this is the example, right? So swiggy.com is what the production live, which will be accessing it. dev.swiggy.com. Everything is a URLs. Now what it will be happening is, in this particular dev.swiggy.com, so means will it be having the same name? Boss, they will keep the different names. Okay, so now in this particular dev. What the purpose of this one is, all the developers would be working on this particular URL. So the development, ongoing development will be happening on this particular URLs. Now, once this is development is over, for an example, now they will be having a build number 1. For this particular build number 1, what they wanted to do, searching the restaurants, placing the order. Now they have been developed this one, and developer will perform a quick test on this one. What is that particular quick test?
Searching of orders.
Okay, they will just make sure that these particular things are working it. But usually developers will do the unit testing, but they will do it in the development environment. Answer is no, and it is not to be done, because recently also we discussed it. So this would be done in the QA environment. But just they will make sure that whatever the functionality, see now for an example, you're cooking, okay, I'm cooking some pakodi. What I'll do the taste. While cooking itself, I'll do the taste. Well, it is good or not. Oh, then I feel that, hey, I think I need to add more crispy to get that more crispiness. What I need to do it. So I'll be adding the certain ingredients to do it, and then I'll push it to them. Now, when I given it to my son, then he'll eat and say that, Dad, I think you need to add certain salt and pepper so that it gives you some more taste to this. Then what I'll try to do, then I'll add that one. The same way, the developers will develop this particular build with this particular functionality. They will check a basic check, and then they will move this one to the QA environment. In the QA environment, the QA will be starting to test this one. Even the unit testing also runs in the QA environment. That's the ideal way to do it. But many of the people run this unit testing in the dev environment itself. But this is wrong. because it might be impacted for the other developers, or because of their particular codes merges, these particular things might be impacted. So it is not recommended to do this one, but it depends upon the scenario to scenario, case to case, company to company, and the SDLC model also. So now there is a debate that, boss, if I stop my development, so now I go with the waterfall model. In the waterfall model, I stopped all my development, right? Then I can do the unit tests here, right? What is the problem? What is problem for me? You do whatever you wanted. So because they will be having a lot of debates. See, ideal way of testing anything that should put to the that need to be pushed or deployed that particular code into the QA environment so that it can be tested thoroughly here. That is what they expected. So now the code would be pushed into this, and all the QA or QCs or test engineers or software test engineers, whatever it might be, so they will be testing that particular code in this particular environment. So this is the testing area which they need to do on it. Okay, so now this, okay, development was done here. I understand that they should require a development URL. Testing need to be done here. Then they understand they will need the QA environment. Now, why you need to have another environment? I can push this one into the production, right? No.
So to
Push
check the
it.
performance
Before
We
going
need
live,
performance
to
of the
recheck it.
application, you stage it in the environment.
Still, they will check the code before going to
like a pre-production.
See, you need to understand another pointer. These particular servers configurations are lesser, because for an example, now in production, if I have 18 to 20 servers, for development, do you think that I need to have 18 to 20 servers? For testing this one, you need to have 18 to 20 servers. How much cost it will be doing for me? Not only this one, we also wanted to give this one to the client to test this. This is now where I have been tested this. Now I wanted to give to the client, so which is called as a UAT. Anyways, when we go for the levels of testing, we'll discuss very detail about it. Almost the people will call this environments as a UAT environments. User acceptance testing means now when you wanted to push it into the production. So before you move to the production, as it is, the similar configuration of environment would be here. Similar data would be here. So here, the production data, production configuration will be not there in the QA environment or in the development environment. The data, the configuration, hardware, everything would be different in the production. So these two things will replicate that one. And not only this one, always we do here tell the functional testing. Non-functional testing need to be performed. Don't worry what is functional, non-functional. Anyways, we'll discuss in detail about it. But just so you understand that non-functional testings are called from the point of performance and security. So in the QA environments, we shouldn't perform the performance and the performance testing and security testing. Many of the people will do this mistake. This is absolutely crap. You should never ever test the performance testing in the QA environments. So only we need to test this one in the pre-prod. We need to do this one in the pre-prod environments only, not in the production environments. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, fine. So now the pre-prod environments is specific to do the non-performance testing, sorry, non-functional testing, because the performance and security, it should perform as a similar. So now you need to compare apple to apple, not an apple to orange, because apple is different dimensions altogether, orange is a different dimension altogether. You shouldn't compare these two. So now you need to compare apple to apple, orange to orange. So now when you wanted to have the same performance in the production, you need to have the same configuration, right? With a less configuration, how you can expect the more performance? Right? This, you should be able to have the complete configuration setups and everything also should be same, right? And even the security guidelines, because in the production you will be having all the security premises, the accesses, permissions, because the tool can be deployed in only 1 or 2 servers where it costs you. I can deploy in all the servers means it will cost you more. So that's the reason in terms of costing, in terms of the tools, and these all things. So these things would be deployed as part of this one. So that is how a particular software, it comes from the development, then it would be pushed or deployed to the QA environment, and it tested all these particular functionalities and everything. Once after completing the functional testing, then only it should go for the staging, and it tested the complete things in the staging, and then it would be moved to the production. So this is how the complete life cycle which should be worked for it, and it worked, and then it will be moving to the production. And in production, even in the production, we do the prod testing. Prod testing means what? Means, for an example, this is production, right? Now they will make that half of this particular environment. So this is called blue gray deployment. While they're deploying this particular code into this one, first they wanted to test this one also in the production environment. To, even though they tested in the QA environment, staging environment, once they go into the production environment also, what they try to do is half of the servers would be accessible to the clients. Now into the half of this one, this particular code would be pushed. How this would be halved, exactly the server half they will do it, or how, you don't need to worry about those all things, because those are the DevOps activities, and if I start to explain those particular architectures and everything, it will, you will be get confused. Now what you need to understand is, from the production they make certain part to be offline and certain part to be online, and this can be accessed by the completely by the end users. Now they push the code to here. Now the QA testers, end users, everything, everyone will come to the production, and then they will do a production test. So now whatever they tested it here, will they do the same thorough testing here? May not be, because it takes a huge amount of time. So we can't make the server to be off for that much time. Sometimes the people will do completely offline. They'll say that under maintenance. That time this half also will be not there. So that is a different deployment. Making the complete server off, they push the complete code here, they test all these things, and then they bring it to the online. So that is the reason it would be happens in the Sunday nights, Saturday nights, or during the Christmas time. So they would wanted to do that one. So because the traffic would be less for that particular business circle. It depends upon the company and the application product. It all depends upon it. So now the testers will come to here, they test this one, and then make sure everything is working fine. Then they'll deploy everything. If it is not, then they do quick rollback. This is called rollback. Rollback of the code. So means they'll be rolling back to the previous environment. So this is how the code can be moved, means from the development to the QA, from the QA to the staging, from staging to the production. Either they can completely offline the server and then put it, test it, and then give it, or they can do the the blue-gray deployment procedure, where they can deploy half the code, they test this one, and then make sure that it is working fine, and they will make this one as a live, and then they will take this half, and then they will push that particular code to this one, and then they will test once again here and make the complete live. Because to do have uninterrupted service to the client, to the customers, they do this particular blue-gray deployments also. So these all things, these all techniques, it depends upon the company to company how they will be implementing it. But these are the ideal. So you need to understand this one. These are the ideal environments it should be there in the IT, and ideal way of behaving. Will I have every company will have this particular things? Answer is absolutely no. And these will be the same, all the companies will not have this one? Absolutely no. Some companies will maintain, some companies will not maintain. And will they have the same names for this one? No, it depends upon, right? See, I can call my son with any name. I'll see now, I can call Veera, or I can Samara, or Samara Veera, whatever the name which I wanted to call, I can call him with that name. Or if I wanted to call Swecha, so I can call with a different names, different things. But it depends upon how I will be calling that, and it all depends. Okay, so this is what the basic idealistic environments it should be there in the QA in the IT industry, so that you need to understand that how the code navigates from one place to another place. Really, I'm saying that right now. As soon as you have the application name, application type, and then application tech stack, And then even you need to understand about the environments also. So these are the prerequisites which you need to understand before you getting started with any particular project or the implementations. During the course of time, you shouldn't learn it. So as a prerequisite, as you join, so the people will ask you, hey, do you have any questions? Nothing, sir. I don't have any questions. Why? You didn't understand the basic concepts. So now if you know that when, hey, these are the prerequisites I need to ask before starting an automation project or before starting my profession or job in a new company, you need to ask them all these questions. Hey, how is your SDLC works and how this particular testing procedure works? Do you have test strategies, test plans? And what is your SDLC? What is your ALC? What is your BLC? And what are the different types and applications, architectures, implementations? That is the things which you so that shows that, hey, this guy, when you're talking to them, so that gives you the caliber, or they will be giving that particular, okay, so this guy knows this. Simply knows that nothing specific. They'll be happy because they will not even expect much more new questions from the interns also. That is an expected thing. They'll be feel also comfortable. Okay, fine. It all depends upon the person to person. So I don't wanted to talk about that one. However, so this is what about the environments, because I made this one little bit faster because for previous two sessions also we have been discussed. So just the terminologies which we have been talked about is hosting, deployment, rollbacks, code push, and then environments. So now moving further, when we are using these particular terminologies, hey, one tier architecture, two tier architectures, you should be knowing about this one really well, so that at that point of time, so why we have been talked about these all things, you will be understanding in the next further sessions. So the next most important things which we are going to discuss about as part of this particular journey is testing pyramid. Hey, all these days you're talking about levels, why suddenly this comes into the picture? Probably if you wanted to know well about the levels, even the pyramid is also very important to know about it. Okay, testing pyramid, testing levels. So now people would be confused for testing pyramid and then testing levels. Levels are different and pyramids are different. What I'll try to do is I'll contrast this both and then I'll explain so that you can understand this particular topic really well. Okay, so tomorrow, what is most important for you people is prepare well on pyramid versus levels and come back. Once again, I'm saying that you people need to, because at one shot, if I explain this one, you'll never understand this one. So you need to understand